The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
Hey guys.
Hey guys, we have to stop saying that.
I feel like we stopped saying it for a couple episodes, so we can do it now. Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Welcome back to Esoteric Oddities. We have got a very special guest with us.
Very special. Her name is Keiko, and she's our very best friend. Hey!
Okay, so I read this article today. Did you guys hear that they cloned monkeys?
I told you, reptilians.
What?
They cloned 2 monkeys.
If they could clone monkeys, they could clone people.
That's
Come on.
what...
Didn't they clone a sheep already?
They did. They cloned a sheep and
Keiko knows.
She knows. I think it was back in Dolly the sheep.
Yes.
I think it was back in 1999, 1996. We got 2 people working with 1 microphone. It's very interesting.
We were just talking about how we're the complete opposite.
Yeah, we really are. She likes regular Twizzlers. I say pull apart Twizzlers are like the way to go.
Pull apart Twizzlers.
These monkeys, you guys have to see them. They're so cute. But then I was thinking about celebrities that have twins. Were we talking
Avril
about this?
Lavigne.
No, she has
that
she's
conspiracy
cloned.
Theory, right? I heard
She's
about
cloned.
that shit.
So is the monkey.
It's a conspiracy.
That's what we're saying. We're saying that you can clone animals and people.
And celebrities. But okay,
People
so
are celebrities. They're just like everyone else.
so I think I was telling you, Sarah, not that long ago that I had this friend, like we weren't like tight, but we were more than like acquaintances. This was in middle school. Her name was Ashley. If you're listening to this, Ashley, what's up? So I was friends with this girl, Ashley, right? And we talked for like 2 whole years. And we didn't really talk outside of classes.
Oh my God, he told me that.
Yeah.
It's just like your school friends.
Yeah, we're just school friends.
Strictly school friends.
No, literally, like, you know those friends that like you're like, Hags, we'll have to talk over the summer, and then you totally don't. That was what she was. And then like the one day I'm talking to her by her locker, and this girl walks up with the same fucking face. And she goes, "This is my twin sister, Sam." And I said, "Excuse me, bitch. I didn't even know you had a sister, let alone a sister who literally had the same face as you."
Where has she been the whole time?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Where were you? She was cloned.
She was cloned on the low. Listen.
Tell me what you got to say, Daddy.
Do you want to hear some celebrities who have twins that you like totally didn't know about? I did not know this one. Are you ready for the first one?
I'm ready.
John Heder, Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh shit! I was like, who is that?
Has a twin brother. Is it John Heder?
Ew, they're
John
like
Heder?
really weird looking. So there's 2 really weird looking people in the world.
But they're like identical.
Really?
And they're not really that weird looking. Like low key, I would give them my tots if you know what I mean.
Give me the tots.
Ashton Kutcher has a twin brother.
You're lying.
Yeah. He has a twin brother who had
What the
yeah, he had a heart transplant when he was younger. They're not identical. What's one? They're not identical.
And identical.
Non-identical. What the hell is that word?
It's fraternal.
Fraternal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Ashton Kutcher has a twin brother. My boy, Aaron Carter, has a twin sister, Angela.
Angela Carter.
My husband, he's playing here tomorrow. We didn't get tickets.
Yeah, we never did that.
At all?
I know.
I didn't know.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I just want to hear Aaron's party.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Wait, ready? Scarlett Johansson
No.
has a twin brother, Hunter.
Okay.
Hunter
what
Scar
does- I need to
Hansen.
see Hunter's face.
Johansson isn't her. It's not Johansson. It's probably Scarlett Jo, and then her last name is Hansen.
Wait, what? No, it is Scarlett Johansson. Like her name.
What is wrong?
I'm just letting you guys know Keiko is actually Sarah's replacement. So this is a trial run.
She's winning. Look at him.
Oh my God, you guys are not going to fucking believe this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
I hate you.
I almost was like,
Alanis Morissette has a twin brother.
Oh, okay. I could see that.
yeah.
His name is Wade.
Wayne Morissette.
And he wears...
Oh, that's kind of nice.
He wears those shorts that go below your knee. So not judging him, but like it's
Wait,
fine.
George.
Stop doing it.
No, they're not. They're like cargo.
Oh, with the
Yeah.
pockets.
With the pockets.
Oh, pass. That's
Swipe left on
left
him.
that in 2002.
Well, honestly, the picture may have been from 2002. But also,
Oh shit.
Samantha Ronson. Not only Samantha Ronson, she was like, she sang that song from Mean Girls.
Oh,
What
the
song?
one that
She dated Lindsay Lohan.
dated.
She dated Lindsay Lohan. And not only does she have a twin, but sometimes they wear the same shirt. Like they dress the same.
Like at the same time.
At the same time in this picture right here, they're wearing the same shirt.
Who is it?
Samantha Ronson and Charlotte Ronson. But like, put yourself in my shoes being a middle schooler, being friends with a person, and like, then later realizing that they have a twin.
Right, because
After like not like being
I don't know these people.
Samantha Ronson.
Yeah.
Oh, that you don't have to know them. You also thought it was Scarlett Jo Hansson.
I thought her name was Scarlett Jo, and I thought her last name was Hanson. Okay.
If you guys think we're quality content, you can go ahead and hop on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/esoteric oddities.
Support
and
them.
$5 gets you a bonus episode, bitch. And if you guys like the show, we would really appreciate it if you told your aunts, your uncles, your ugly friends, all of them.
That was a lot. That was a lot of laughing.
I love
It
how
was.
sometimes I like have random thoughts and I just put them in my notes to talk about on the podcast. And this one says, I have literally like no follow up, but it says, ever think about how many photographs or home videos other people have that you're in the background of?
Yo, seriously.
Probably not a lot.
Are you kidding me? Think about back in the 90s, like everybody was like every
Crowded.
event you went to. Yeah. Like I'm probably in a bunch of people's pictures from Disney World, from all my bad angles. Those were my chubby years. Still stuck in them,
Yeah.
but they were also my chubby years.
Join the club.
So today's topic is
A wild card.
a wild card. We did this one other time, not on purpose. I think it was our second episode. Technically, it was our first episode when
Yeah, we messed up. Well, I messed up.
I wasn't going to say it, but since you
I
did.
said it for you. It's all good, boo.
But I heard a little clip of yours, and you said it was an unsolved murder mystery, and then you said it was from New York. So we're 2 for 2, and I'm hoping we didn't do the same one.
No, mine isn't unsolved.
Oh, it's solved?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yes. Give it to me. Take me there, baby.
All right. Here we go. Okay. Are we ready?
I'm ready, baby.
In 1964, New York City had a record of 636 murders. I wish we could cue the SVU dun-dun-dun right now.
Okay, yeah, I'll edit that right in.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
These murders included James Powell, which was a 15-year-old boy killed by the New York Police Department, which ended in a riot in Harlem. August Pano, a Boy Scout, was fatally stabbed in Brooklyn by gang members whom he was trying to recruit into his troop. Ruben Markowitz, a Brooklyn bookie, was killed by Park Avenue industrialists. The body of Ernest Rupolo, a member of the Luciano organized crime family who had testified against his associates 20 years before, was found in Jamaican Bay with his feet enclosed in concrete.
No.
They really, get the job done.
Wait, what body of water was that? Say that again.
Jamaica Bay.
Okay, so he was found at the bottom.
Yeah, with his feet in concrete.
Maybe they just did cinder blocks. That sounds like it's a lot faster.
Maybe. That's true. Okay. Then there was Kitty. Is this your story?
This is not my story.
Shut
about
up.
to say.
I was my
It's
heart was
not.
gonna fall out of my asshole.
This is not my story, but I know about it because we learned about it in psychology class.
Yes, and this is why I did it, because it literally has like a psychological twist on it. It's literally like people really
Did you see the documentary?
Mm-mm,
Okay,
I
wait,
wish
let's
I
talk. Do you know about this, Keiko? Okay. Okay.
All right, are
go
you
ahead.
ready?
Yeah.
Kitty Genovese, who was 28, was not only famous in New York for her story, but also teaching people a valuable lesson. There was little to no information regarding her case. In the early hours on March 13th, 1964, in Kew Gardens, which was a residential section of Queens, Kitty's killer, Winston Moseley, was plotting. Moseley was caught by NYPD less than a week after Kitty's death. He spent 23 more years in prison than Kitty did on Earth. Genovese serves as a platform for women's deepest fears, that being living in a big city with men like Winston Moseley. The big issue with Kitty's death is the famous inaction of her neighbors in Kew Gardens. 37 people heard her scream and did not do anything to stop the knife attack. Moseley attacked her twice, first on the street and then another time in her apartment building. Again, people did nothing. Winston Moseley was charged with Genovese's murder. He later claimed that he was just a getaway driver. which I think is a lie.
Yes, because he fucking killed her.
You never know. You never know, like, what they were discussing. She could have knew more. In 2004, Kitty's brother, Bill Genovese, spent a little over 10 years trying to understand how his sister died. Genovese's understanding of the murder came from the New York Times story published on March 27, 1964. The title of the headline was, 37 Who Saw Murder Didn't Call the Police. Genovese and his siblings spent the next 30 years shielding their mother from articles that just kept coming. She never recovered emotionally from losing her oldest child. Genovese partnered with Solomon, who interviewed him for an HBO project that never made it to the big screen. So basically, this HBO project was supposed to cover her murder, but I guess it never got pushed through. Only a select number of people saw Mosley attack Kitty. "Let that girl alone," said one neighbor. Literally didn't call the police. At least 2 neighbors claim to have called the police, although police logs have no record of those calls. Another neighbor, Sophia Farver, ran to help Kitty and held her as she died.
Yeah, I remember that. I listened to a podcast and they talked they took the account of like her last moments and it was like really fucked up.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about it after.
Okay.
The New York Times article led to major research in psychology and sociology, but also made a group of people living in Queens look like heartless accessories to murder, because it did. So basically the study for psychology is like people don't say anything because they think someone else is going to say something.
It's the bystander effect.
Yeah. So it's like everyone's like, oh, well, someone else would take care of it. Someone else would take care of it. Someone else would take care of it. And then no one does anything. And that's how she died.
Yeah. Also,
because people assume that someone else would take care of it.
Also, it like wasn't in that area those years in the 60s. It like wasn't really out of the ordinary for there to be like loud domestic disputes.
Oh, so people assumed that it was like a fight between the two. She died in the staircase. Like she was running up the stairs. And there's also alleged information that she was also raped. Like in the building.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was in...
that's the story of Kitty.
I think they call it's the bystander effect, but it's also called Kitty Genovese syndrome. I don't know.
But it's honestly true. How many times have you been out and like, I mean, I don't really do this because I'm nosy as shit, but how many times have you been out and been like, oh, like you've seen something out of the ordinary but didn't really check on it?
Yeah, I think about that sometimes. This is kind of a little bit off topic, but similar. But like when my parents live by a power plant and they'll do like a drill siren all the time. And like nobody does anything. But like what happens when it's like real? Nobody would do anything.
No, yeah, because it's like...
So like we could literally be dying of like nuclear...
It's like The Boy Who Cried Wolf.
Yeah, because they do so many damn tests.
Like how are we supposed to know? How are we ever supposed to know?
Yeah, when a siren goes off. But yeah, we learned about that in a class. I had psychopathology. And that's literally what it was.
Oh my God, I was like, haha.
No, it was Didn't I tell you about that?
No.
I feel like we talked about it on here before. My mind, literally, I could repeat myself 700 times on this podcast. So sorry about that, guys. But I had psychopathology class. It was like insane. It was awesome. But I had to drop out of it because it was like on the other side of campus. So I was like sprinting and I was always late.
You could have just got there on time.
I had a class before that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't say that either.
I was like, just get there.
At the school that I went to, they give you, I think it was like 6 minutes at the time where one class would end and the next class would begin. And that was not enough time to get through like the crowded ass city.
It's never enough.
No, it really wasn't. And I was like out of breath and it was like huge hall. It was a mess. But yeah, we learned about it there, the bystander effect, when like, how many people was it?
37, but after they found out it was 38. Like, New York was obsessed with the crime, so they just kept writing about it and writing about it and writing about it.
Oh, yeah, because it's going to make money.
Right.
Yeah, we see it time and time again. Everybody's hungry for a dollar. Yeah, New York Times, March 27th, 1964. I think they caught the guy 6 days later when he was robbing a place.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Again, here I am spitting facts that I don't know are actual facts. We're a professional here. Go ahead and give us 5 stars on
iTunes,
the Apple Podcast app.
I always call it iTunes. I never call it Apple Podcast app.
All right, so I think I'm up to bat.
I want to know who you did because we almost did the same person you said.
We didn't.
Oh, I know that you said that.
All right. So let's take it back a little bit. So for the gay and trans community, New York City in the mid to late 1980s was often a game of survival. This was when the AIDS epidemic was new, misunderstood, and most people were terrified. So many gay and transgender people were kicked out of their homes just for being themselves. And the Black and Latino gay and trans people didn't seem to fit into the real world. Most of the time when they went in for a job interview, they were turned down. They took on roles pretending that they were somebody that they were not. Most times just trying to fit into society's fucked up idealisms. But they had the ability to let their true colors show in underground fashion shows and beauty pageant-esque gatherings, which were called balls. So these balls were captured. These balls were captured by director Jenny Livingston in the 1990 documentary Paris is Burning. Have either of you seen it?
I haven't.
I've heard of it.
In this documentary, we follow a few gays, a few drag queens, and a few transgender women. Now, in the documentary, since it was in the 90s, they weren't called, like, transgender. They were, I think they said, like, transvestites. They said...
Oh, no.
What else? Oh, female impersonators was basically what they were saying for, like, drag queens, because it wasn't really much of a thing back then. I mean, obviously, person to person, it was a thing, but, like... I don't even think transgender was like a word.
People are always scared of what they don't know. Do you ever notice that?
That's exactly why I'm saying, like, if you guys haven't seen, you listening, hey, you with the ugly friends, if you haven't seen this documentary, it's called Paris is Burning. You can probably find it online somewhere. If you haven't seen it, watch it. And if it sounds like something that would make you uncomfortable, watch it twice. So Jenny Livingston is a cisgendered white woman. So cisgender, for those of you who do not know, means she was born a woman and identifies as a woman. So she graduated from Yale University in 1983, and she moved to New York after graduating. And it took her 6 years to complete the entirety of Paris is Burning. So this documentary explores subjects that dealt with racism, homophobia, AIDS, and poverty. And so lots of the people that they followed were homeless, and the only thing keeping them alive, honestly, were the underground balls. Again, I highly recommend it for everyone. So this documentary, it's actually kind of crazy to go back and, like, live in a time. I don't really watch RuPaul's Drag Race, but I've seen it. And, like, obviously I know the gay lingo because, hey, girl. But
Right.
They talk about words, like they explain what throwing shade is. Back in 1986, they talk about voguing. They talk about, like, death drops, serving realness. Like, they talk about, all this shit that, like, people...
All the things that we use now.
Yeah. Like, back then. Like, I heard of those words, like, kind of recently. So in these competitions, these balls, if you will, they would win trophies, like legit ass. They had like 6-foot ass, like huge, massive trophies. Like, it's amazing. They also won monetary prizes. So like they could make them big bucks. And sometimes
I need to make the bucks.
Sometimes it's like how some of these people would survive. So the documentary, again, it took 6 years to make, and it was released in 1991, and according to the Los Angeles Times, Time Magazine, the Washington Post, and NPR, it was named one of the best films of 1991. Let me do a quick Google search and see what other movies came out that year. So, some of the other movies that came out that year were Silence of the Lambs, Point Break, Beauty and the Beast,
Beauty and the Beast,
The Hook, Addams Family, Boys in the Hood, People Under the Stairs, Sleeping with... So there's like a lot of movies that came out that year, and for like...
What year was this?
1991 is when it came out. For it to be recognized by the Los Angeles Times, Time Magazine, the Washington Post, and NPR.
I love NPR.
Is like incredible, especially in 1991. So the cast of the movie ended up on the Joan Rivers show, and they got a lot of publicity.
Rivers, R.I.P.
R.I.P. So the
For real.
The film pretty much followed 13 people, and there were the younger people who were called the children and the older mentors who were called the mothers. And one of the mothers was named Dorian Corey. You guys don't know about this, and I'm kind of excited.
Oh God, I'm scared.
Right.
So Dorian Corey was a drag queen in the New York scene and was well respected in her time. She was born in Buffalo, New York in 1937 and raised on a farm. To clarify, she was born and labeled a male, but identifies as female. And this, identified as female, but I'm going to refer to her as her. So in the 1950s, she worked as a window dresser in a department store in Buffalo, and then she moved to New York City to study at Parsons, the New School for Design. She began taking female hormones, got breast implants, and broke off contact with her family who did not support her. In the 1960s, she toured as a snake dancer in the Pearl Box Revue, which was a cabaret drag queen act who traveled. But they didn't call them drag queens. They called them female impersonation acts, which they were fine with at the time. So in the 1970s, this is back in the 1960s. Keep that in mind, RuPaul. So in the 1970s, Dorian got into the New York drag ball scene. And sometime in the late 1970s, her then boyfriend, Eddie, stole all of her money she won from the ball and ran
Eddie.
off. Eddie's $1 million crook off.
I'm saying.
See what I did there? So Dorian also ran and designed a clothing label called Corey Design.
I love that Corey design.
At one point, Dorian's act involved her wearing a 30 by 40 foot feather cape.
Wow.
Make me one.
Unfortunately, on August 29th, 1993, Dorian Corey died of AIDS at Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center in Manhattan at the age of 56. Really quick before I totally jump into the story, after she died, it's really interesting to look at the articles from 1993 where the magazines refer to... So Dorian wasn't her natural born name. I forget what her name was. I think it was Frederick was the born given name. So they'll refer to her in this magazine as Dorian, not her male given name, but then they refer to her as him and refer to her as Mr. Corey, which is like pretty... fucking disrespectful.
Right.
And this is the same magazine. This was the New York Times. They posted her obituary after they said that Paris is Burning was like an amazing movie. Maybe they were ignorant to it because, again, this was 1993, but that's a little bit fucked up.
That's crazy.
2
That's a
years
year
after praising
I was
2 years
born.
after praising her. So, doing my research for this topic, I came across one of the most interesting articles I have ever read. It's from The New Yorker. It was published May 2nd, 1994, and it was written by investigative journalist, Jeannie Russell Kassendorf. So, before Dorian died, she told her best friend and Paris is Burning star, Lois Taylor, to sell all of her clothing once she was gone. And Lois Taylor did just that. Now, Dorian's closet held numerous wardrobes, and she was quite the seamstress. Again, one of her dress trains measured 40 fucking feet long.
Yes.
Can you imagine seeing that walking down like New
I
York?
love
Oh my
that.
god, yeah.
Oh my
I
god,
would
ew, she would
die.
take rats away.
Sweep them right off
Yes,
their feet.
I'm saying.
Ew. It like gets stuck to gum and shit.
I'm saying.
Oh god.
So you enter her closet, baby, and it's feather boas and satin and velvet and pearls and everything a girl like me could want. But at the time of her unfortunate death, Paris is Burning was doing really well, and she was a pretty well-known designer and still a burlesque performer. But Dorian's closet didn't just hold legendary costumes.
What does it hold, babe? Tell me.
It also held one big secret.
Oh my god.
Oh god. It's like Riverdale.
Oh my god, I know. What is it?
In October of 1993, Lois made plans to meet some people who were interested in making a purchase from Dorian's closet. They walked up to Dorian's cluttered apartment and straight to the back where the costumes were hung. They wanted to search through a large trunk on the floor, so they opened it up and immediately called the police. Once the police arrived, they found the trunk in Dorian's closet. It didn't hold feather boas or Louboutins, but it held a dead body.
Dun dun dun.
Just one?
The body was crouched in the fetal position and mummified with faux leather. So the police investigated.
Dorian, girl, you good?
Police investigated and found no note or diary Dorian kept that would help them find out who this man was and how he was connected to the late Dorian Corey. Under the faux leather wrap, they found that the man was only wearing ragged boxers and one sleeve of a t-shirt. Fingerprint expert Raul Figueroa identified the man. He told the investigative journalist, Jeannie, who was the girl who wrote this article, that the body was halfway between mummified and decomposition. Don't quite know how that happens, because if it's between mummified and decomposition, wouldn't it just be mummified?
It's crazy
Right.
you did this story because we just did mummies last week.
I know. I was thinking about that too. I had this story like in my head that I wanted to do it, but I didn't know that the body was mummified.
Oh, okay.
But strap on, because it's about to get weird.
I'm strapping.
So when they began pulling away the leather wrapping, flip-top cans fell out.
Wait,
so
what's flip-top cans?
Flip-top cans were the tops of beer cans that had not been on the shelves since the 1970s, which was 20 years
shit.
prior to when the body was discovered. An autopsy showed that the man had been shot in the head and had been mummified in the trunk for 25 years.
Okay, like, how is she an expert? Like, how did she find, like, what?
I wish
Teach
y'all
me,
could have
just
saw the face he just made.
I was serving realness,
He
as they would say. So an article was run by a gossip columnist named Richard Johnson.
Richard. I'm
And
sorry.
he spoke to some of Dorian's friends. So in this article, okay, he said that he spoke to some of Dorian's friends and quoted that they told him that Dorian had left a note saying, quote, "This poor man broke into my house and was trying to rob me," end quote. However, not discrediting this man, Richard Johnson, Mr. Dick Johnson, but other information he published in that same article happened to be fabricated rumors. For example, in that article, he stated that the body was wrapped in saran wrap and left in baking soda. Something that sounds super like a super stupid small story altercation, but like when it comes to investigative journalism, that changes the story drastically. So that'll come up later. The fact that it said this man broke into my house and was trying to rob me. The body was identified as Bobby Wells. Then Jeannie spoke to Jenny Livingston, who again was the director of Paris's Burning, who had been to Dorian's house numerous times while filming. Then after they were done filming, they remained friends. And she told her that it was very likely that Dorian had a gun, considering the neighborhood she lived in. It was pretty rough. And Jenny even said that when they were filming, they had to actually stop filming the documentary because there was a shootout occurring down the street from Dorian's house.
Wait. So this body was there for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And why would she let people in her closet or in her house if she knew that she had a body in there?
Oh, baby.
Oh, God. I'm ret.
Jenny then went on to say that she would never see Dorian hurting a fly, but then again, the streets were dangerous for a woman like her. Jeannie tracked down Bobby Wells' brother, Fred, who had some interesting information. So remember, Bobby Wells was the body that they found. Mm-hmm. And Jeannie, who is the investigative journalist who wrote this article, tracked down Fred, Bobby's brother. And Bobby Wells wasn't even his name at all. Fred told Jeannie that his real name was Bobby Worley, and he changed his name to Wells in the 60s. So Fred and Bobby were from a family of 7 children, Bobby being the youngest. Their father, Eddie, was in charge of the ice plant for the city Fairmount, North Carolina. In 1956, Fred moved to New York with his wife and young son, and Bobby came shortly after. So Bobby was arrested in the mid-1960s for the rape and sexual assault of a woman, and he was jailed for 3 years. He was released in 1966, and he lived with his brother and his family in the Bronx. So Fred remembered alcohol being a huge issue for Bobby. So he drank heavily almost every single day, and it was usually vodka straight from the bottle. Then, after 3 months of being out of jail, Bobby disappeared. That was the last time that Fred had ever seen him. But it was not the last time that Fred had heard from him. One night, a few years later, Fred received a very drunk phone call from Bobby, who had thought he dialed his girlfriend, but actually dialed his brother. From what Fred gathered in the phone call, Bobby and his girlfriend were in an argument, and Bobby was trying to fix the issues they had. Curious to hear what was happening, Fred let his drunk brother believe that it was his girlfriend talking on the phone. So Jeannie asked Fred what the girlfriend's name was, and Fred took a while to find the name, but couldn't remember. After all, it had been about 25 years. Then Jeannie did something I wish she hadn't. She asked if the girlfriend's name was Dorian. To this, Fred replied, yes, absolutely, it was Dorian. That rang the bell. He said 100% it was Dorian.
Wait, What? The story gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah. So Jeannie spoke to Dorian's friends, who all had, like, nobody had any idea about the body. Everybody was shooketh, or at least saying they were shooketh. Right. So they each said that they had never smelled anything. Every time they had been over their house, they thought, maybe they would have smelled something, even though when they opened the trunk, it smelled, but it didn't smell like overwhelming. And a friend, like one of the friends had a German Shepherd who didn't like sniff around and think of anything suspicious of the trunk. So Jeannie tried to meet in person with Lois Taylor again, but she claimed she was sick. She said she had a cold that she couldn't shake, but they would talk over the phone. So they did. Jeannie asked more details about Lois's relationship with Dorian. After all, Lois was the keeper of the estate. Lois was the one Dorian put in charge of all her earthly possessions. Lois was the one who had Dorian cremated and sprinkled her ashes in the ocean. So Lois said that in her life, her mother had passed away, and the only motherly figure or family she had was Dorian. And Lois stuck by Dorian's side as she grew sick. When asked about Bobby, Lois said the police showed his mugshot from the 1960s arrest, and Lois said she had never seen his ugly face before. When asked if there was a letter or anything she found referring to Bobby, Lois said no, but then quickly stated that Dorian had written something. It was on an old yellow piece of paper Lois had found and handed over to the police. On the paper, it said she wanted a sex change, then had the word revenge, then the word murder with a question mark. Allegedly, this was in Dorian's handwriting, and it cleared Lois Taylor's name of the murder. So Jeannie asked, "What do you think happened?" Lois Taylor responded, "Honey, the boy's gone, right? She's gone, right? So nobody knows what happened but her and the boy. So if they want to find out, they better do a seance and have them come down and ask them." So this real-life unsolved murder mystery then turned into a play called Out of the Bag by Reg Flowers. And then in 2017, there was a new musical play titled Dorian's Closet, and it ran from April 26th to May 14th.
Oh, that's so nice.
And that is the story of the skeleton in Dorian's closet.
Damn, we'll never know.
Right. Whoa. What is, a dead man never talks? There's a saying.
Well, that's a fact.
Yes.
Okay, so I know this story because a lot of people, and honestly, for the longest time, I thought that this story, I remember hearing about a drag queen dying and them finding a dead body in the closet, and I thought it was Divine from all of John Waters' movies.
Oh.
Like, and like my best friend, her mom was like, "It's Divine," because Divine was into like all this crazy pig-headed, filthy, eating dog shit stuff. Like
What?
Yeah, did you not see Pink Flamingos?
No.
Yeah, she eats dog shit at the end of the movie, like straight up a dog shits, and she eats it right off the streets.
Shut up.
I
my
will
God,
not.
I'll throw up.
Yeah, no, it's a crazy movie. But like, since she did crazy shit like that, people just like assumed it was her. But yeah, no, it wasn't. So I have a couple theories up my sleeve.
What's your theory?
But I want to hear what you guys think.
I think
Think like.
Yeah, I am.
Is that your stomach?
Yeah.
I heard that. Your stomach's thinking.
I think that they were messing around, and she threatened to tell people, and he didn't want her to, so he tried to come after her, and she was like, "Nah," and she killed him, and then I don't know, and I think someone found out, so they killed her, and
Killed who?
Dorian.
Dorian died of AIDS.
I forgot.
Like, was sick in the hospital for like weeks.
Well, maybe he gave her AIDS.
Maybe.
And she got pissed, so she killed him.
Okay. But they did find the body was dead for 25 years.
I guess, yeah, you're right. But still, maybe they, before had a falling out.
Yeah.
And then she killed him.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think, Keiko?
My thing is, how did the body get to the closet and in the trunk? So he was either at her place or she had to transport the body there.
Right. And I read one article that said for as insane and like weird of a mystery as this is, there was like no information.
Literally, I feel like all these murders that happened, like, like
in the 60s and 70s.
60s,
Yeah, well, this
70s,
wasn't
80s,
even
90s.
This wasn't even that long. This was like 1993,
But still, like, I feel like, back in back then I feel like we didn't really have a lot. And I feel like since it was like part of the trans community, no one really cared to unlock the case.
This is very true. This is true, but the man that they found wasn't trans. But
You don't know that.
I guess that's true.
When they were arguing and the brother was listening to the conversation, was that at Bobby's house?
So they don't know. They think Bobby was calling from a payphone. Like he was somewhere else. He was somewhere else in New York that the brother Fred didn't know. But he says that he was super drunk, so he called a phone number he had memorized. They think it was a payphone,
I see.
but it was back then. They couldn't trace it. 25 years earlier. So this was in like the 70s. Fred thinks that he was he had his suspicions that he was either gay or into trans women. And that's why I really wish that, like, I mean, Jeannie, the girl who wrote this, she did a baller job, but I wish she didn't name drop Dorian, because, like, you know, when you just like plant that into somebody's head and then they're convinced.
Everyone
Yeah.
believes it.
Yeah. So that, I mean, this happened back in the 70s. This dude, he was pretty old, Fred. So for him to memorize, like to remember back then, and she's like, was it Dorian? He's like, absolutely, it was Dorian. Now that you say that, like, so we don't know if they were officially dating, but if she never would have said anything and he would have said the name Dorian, that would have been like that would have been the check in the box to be like, yes, like this man who, because he didn't really know anything about the case. They hunted him down and he was like, oh, I'm not surprised. This is what happened, because he was missing all those years and they didn't like tell him who they think murdered him or like where the body was found or anything like that. So if Fred just would have said the name Dorian without knowing anything, then it would have been like, okay, they were in a relationship. It had to have been Dorian who was somewhat involved, if not a friend. If that makes any sense.
Also really weird because he was missing for so long, they didn't trace it back to Dorian at all. So, like, maybe they didn't know each other. Maybe he just said the wrong thing to her, and she just...
Maybe. All right, so I'm going to go through my theories. I have a couple. So the first one is robbery gone wrong, which is what they said in the possibly bogus thing, because then when Jeannie talks to all her friends, none of them said a robbery gone wrong. It was, like, brought up once, but it, you know. So it could have been a robbery gone wrong, and she just, you know, pulled the trigger and, like, just killed him out of, like, protection and didn't really know what to do, so mummified him, I guess.
Yeah.
Then another theory I have is maybe they were secret lovers who were in a fight. Maybe he was abusive. Maybe she was abusive and got taken too far. That's a possibility, and then just didn't know what to do with the body. And like, he didn't have family, he didn't have a job, he didn't have anybody looking for him, so it was just like an easy out. If you hide the body and you mummify and it doesn't like smell or anything, then like you're pretty much in the green, I guess. Here's another theory. I don't really know if this is a theory out there. I couldn't find one. I came up with this on my own, and I'm a little proud of myself. So since Dorian knew she was dying of AIDS, what if one of her friends, one of the children maybe who were in the New York ball, had killed a man who was preying on them, and then Dorian was like, I'm dying anyway. You can take the body that's in the trunk and you can hide it in my house, and I'll die soon, and they'll think the blame is on me, and like I'll take one for the team.
I mean, that would be pretty dope.
Whoa.
Yeah. So with that same thought, maybe it was Lois who did it, because Lois was the one who was had access to the house. Lois was the one who was, you know, showing the closet to people.
She spread those ashes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could have been done possibly with Dorian's permission, and was like, listen, I've had this body for a couple of years. This is like, is there any way like you can just take one for the team when you die? Like, I'm sorry. Like, it sounds fucked up, but it's true. And, you know, Dorian possibly would have, you know, not felt some type of way, because you know how like New York streets were back then with gays, drag queens, transgender people. In fact, one of the transgender women who was in Paris's burning, her name was Venus Extravaganza, was found Christmas morning, 1988, strangled to death under a bed in the Duchess Hotel in New York. Her murderer was never caught, though most of her friends suspected that it was a guy who took her into a hotel and didn't know she was transgender. So that shit, like, it was fucking dangerous out there. It still is, obviously, but like, it was fucking dangerous out there. So, but if it was Lois, think about it. It's like, we've seen it before, you know, if, let's say, allegedly, this is alleged, This is a theory. Let's say Lois killed this man, Bobby, 25 years ago. The perfect way to make it look like it wasn't you is to have people there when you find the body. So she could have brought the trunk over, had people come in, found the body magically while other people were there, and it was the first time they all had seen it. You know, I hate to bring it up again,
like,
but
what's that?
But John Benet Ramsey, when like John found his daughter, that's what I'm like. Yeah, always have a third party when you discover the body.
Mm-hmm. Throws everything off.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess we'll never know.
Wow.
I think it was what you said. Someone's like, I killed this person and like, you're going to die soon. So like, can you take the rap for me?
It could have been. We won't ever know.
No, we won't.
Damn.
So that is Dorian Corey.
That was like a fucked up Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, and you want to know what's crazy? If you watch Paris is Burning, one of the children who was in Dorian, they're like separated into houses. One of the children in Dorian Corey's house said she had a sex change, like a full sex change, and she was saying how free she felt, and she was like, I have no skeletons in my closet.
You thought maybe she didn't at that point.
Maybe, but I thought it was kind of crazy and ironic because...
Right. Yeah.
But if you go back and watch that movie, it's just weird to think about because literally, like, you don't know who did it, and we literally never will.
Ever.
And I feel like this is one of those things that aren't talked about.
Yeah.
It's
No
like,
one
are
brings
people
these
just
things
going to
up.
like let it go?
Yeah. So that was my story. Thanks, Fo.
Thank you
listening.
for sharing. I sent you a quiz. Let's do it.
A quiz?
Yep.
Okay, send it to Keiko too. Stop. My mom just tagged me in something on Facebook.
Oh,
It
yeah,
says a
please.
cheese wine shot. It's a shot glass
Ew.
made out of cheddar cheese with wine inside of it.
I can't.
Wait, you guys, I know what we're doing tonight. I hope the grocery store isn't closed yet.
Do you have the mind of a serial killer?
Dun dun dun.
This is a BuzzFeed quiz, so if anybody wants to take the quiz too, you can. So, does anybody really know what's going on in the minds of serial killers?
I do.
Me. All right, so moving on. If someone falls over in the street, you laugh freely. That's hilarious. Jonathan thinks it's funny. Laugh, but hide it with your hands.
Wait, I totally did that. That was like my...
Okay, so you're two.
Okay.
Laugh, but feel kind of bad about it. Walk past quickly. Tweet about it. I tweet about it, but I also laugh.
Walk past quickly.
But tweet about it.
Yikes.
That's literally me. One time I saw someone trip on the curb, and I tweeted, just saw someone trip on the curb, and I didn't laugh. Am I an adult?
Yes, because you tweeted about it.
No, because I didn't laugh.
Yeah, that makes you an adult.
Help them up and tweet about it. Just keep them up and dust them off. Just help them up and dust them off. Okay.
Okay, Keiko, what are you choosing?
I think I'm going to do laugh, but feel kind of bad about it.
That's what I'm doing.
I'm gonna do laugh, but hide it with my hand.
You have to. You did that.
Also, I know I really
I
did.
might mix that, you know?
So I was on the boardwalk with my cousin Julie, and it was pouring rain, and we were walking, and this woman like totally ate shit. She slipped on the boardwalk, and
I love when
literally
people fall.
we didn't know what to do, so we like were kind of laughing, and we wanted to go see if she was okay, but we were like really like awkward and kind of in an altered state of mind, if you feel me. So we were just like. We still say to each other, we like kind of whispered, we were like, are you okay? Like, okay, but I'm gonna laugh and hide it with my hand.
Do you want to read the next one?
Number 2, your teenage self could usually be found melting army men with a magnifying glass.
Jonathan.
Listen, I literally used to do that with ants.
Really?
Yeah.
Like actually?
Yeah.
I like could never fathom like doing that. I
Yeah.
only saw it in movies.
I used to do it with leaves too, but they would like actually catch on fire. My mom was like, don't do that. I was like, don't fucking tell me what to
Don't
do.
tell me not to set
I'm
things
just
on fire.
kidding, Mom. I love you. I know you listen. Hi, Barb. Love you.
Hey, Barb. Love you. Miss you.
So what's next?
Seething in a room wearing black.
Current state.
Right.
Okay, what the fuck is this next one?
Bitching with your friends.
Who
bitching
wrote
like
this?
complaining.
I'm
Like,
saying, like,
I'm just bitching with my friends.
I thought bitchin' meant like cool.
Bitchin'. This
Bitchin'.
has a G at the end. Bitching.
bitching.
like
like bitching. Like, are you gabbing?
Yeah,
that's like a harsh stereotype.
Ew.
Why are they using it like that?
bitching with your friends.
Right. Like, I don't know what. I'm not going to choose that because I don't know what that means.
Do you guys want to bitch out tonight?
Let's bitch
Let's
out.
bitch out.
Fuck yeah. Suppressing rage.
It's literally currently mood.
Drama class. Extra credits.
Hey.
Get them credits.
All right. It's all about the credit.
Or pulling the wings off flies.
That's what I was doing. I clicked that one.
Oh my god. Wait, do you remember?
I was in drama.
What is that? What you're picking?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Let me name. Honestly, I don't want to say I'm suppressing rage. I don't want to say I'm seething in a room. I wasn't melting army men. I was
just pulling wings off flies.
honestly, I was kind of bitching with my friends.
No, same. So was I. Should we put it?
I did. That's what I picked.
Okay, because I'm always bitching.
But about the flies, what I was going to say was our old house, my room was like infested with flies. Like they cut a hole out in my wall. I don't remember why, but they had to cut literally through the drywall and my room was in the basement. Sarah, do you remember this? We covered it with saran wrap because all these flies infested my room and they were weird flies.
They were like,
They
didn't
were
know
not-
how to
they
fly.
didn't-
You could literally
yeah.
like hit them and they'd die.
And they would like come back. Yeah, they like didn't flinch. You could literally pick them up. There was so many of them. There was like 50.
Where the fuck did they come
And
from?
they
The
didn't
wall,
fly
once they
away.
carved out, because literally it was like a dry wall. And since our old house was old as hell, they cut the hole out and there were like pipes and stuff. And then it was just like brick. And the brick was from like the original foundation. I don't even know how old that house is. Probably from the 1800s.
Probably.
So those motherfuckers were just back there.
Yeah, they were hanging out. They were like, I'm free.
Right.
I've been waiting hundreds of years. All right. So how many questions is this? Jesus, we're never going to get through this. Your neighbors would describe you as, this says neighbors, NEIGHBOURS, would describe you as loud and obnoxious,
Me.
someone who doesn't like to party, someone who will always take in a parcel if you're out, the one that plays loud music, charming, charismatic, or quiet, polite, and ordinary. I would say I'm charming and charismatic AF, but I also knew that that's what the serial killers are labeled as. But I am.
I'm loud and obnoxious.
I would say you're either loud and obnoxious. No, I would say you're the one who plays loud music.
Okay.
But you pick whatever you want, but I would just say you're the one who plays loud music.
I feel like that's both.
Whichever
Yeah,
you
that's
want.
both. I feel
That was Keiko's polite way of saying, bitch, you obnoxious.
Yeah. Literally.
I
It's
love
okay.
it.
She does this all the time. I'm like, what you really meant is.
And she's like, basically.
I guess I would say quiet, polite, but I'm not ordinary. Extraordinary. We'll change that last one.
Tell me why extraordinary is literally just extraordinary. Like
It
you're
really
really,
is.
ordinary.
If you ask my dad how he is, he says extraordinary each time. I guarantee you. Like, it's like a thing amongst my friends. Like, they ask him how he is, obviously, because they genuinely want to know, but they're like ready and waiting for the
extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
Loves it. All right, Sarah, this is you.
All right. At the checkout, you're trying not to buy chocolate, and yet you what? How does this confirm if I'm a serial killer?
We gonna find out.
Rush through the. Is that queue?
Yes, it's Q.
Shut up. Rush through the queue to avoid chocolate. Thought about it, but moved on. Are too busy on your phone to notice you're at the checkout. That's me. Have one chocolate bar in your mouth. 8 more in the basket. Have thrown 2 chocolate bars into your basket. Can only think about chocolate.
Okay, wait. Let me reread the question. You're trying not to buy chocolate. Do I want chocolate?
At the time, I guess you do.
Well, shit. I'm going to do whatever. Life's too short. I'm going to throw 2 bars of chocolate in my basket.
This quiz is so weird.
I guess I thought about it and I moved on because
You don't want to buy the chocolate?
I don't, no, I don't. I don't want to buy the chocolate.
Okay. Oh, is this Keiko's or is this yours, Sarah?
Keiko's. I just did it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I literally have the attention span
the program.
of Dory.
Okay. Up next, when you see
What the fuck is this?
right when you see blue bins, okay, like this, they're like the blue bins you see at construction sites that usually hold water or some
like
type of
plastic.
liquid. Who really knows?
Or a dead body.
When you see those, what do you think? You've got some garden stuff to get rid of. They'd be useful.
What the fuck?
Never seen bins like this. that you need to buy more on the way home. I don't know like who actively like buys them, but that you could probably dissolve a body in there. That serial killers probably dissolve bodies in there, or that you saw them on TV once.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Megan is Missing?
What is that?
I would not suggest it to anybody. So I watched it. And like it's really corny and hokey and like the acting's really not good. But then by the end of it, I was like, why did somebody fund this movie to be made? That was really fucked. It was really fucked. And I also just saw something out of my peripherals.
Oh no.
No, be gone.
Okay, so I'm gonna say serial killers probably dissolve bodies in there, because I'm not gonna spoil the end of the movie, but I totally think I just did.
You did.
What do you pick 'em?
Never seen bins like this.
You've never seen a bin like that?
I have.
Well, then you can't lie.
All right. I
They
guess
have no good answers for this.
I guess I'm gonna say someone would probably put a body in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna put as well.
Okay, in a buffet situation, what's going on your dish? Oh, honey, what's not going on my dish?
Stop. Did you see that video of Demi Lovato and they ask what her favorite dish is and she says a mug?
Yes.
I love that video.
Wait, but I swear to God, she's totally kidding, right?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't
I think
think
she's
so.
dead ass.
That was really funny, though.
But
I
that
like mugs.
also me. So like
Literally, that's like...
relatable.
All right, so buffet situation, what's going on your dish?
Everything.
What's your go-to dish? Okay, so dessert, everything, mystery meat, a meat dish with a label, depends, or vegetarian. So my thing, the only buffet I've honestly ever gone to is King Buffet, which is like Chinese food, and I
Crab
always...
legs.
Dude, you gotta wait in line for those. People flock like fucking seagulls.
For the crab leg.
Literally,
Sure
that
do.
person who's bringing out the pot of crab legs
It's
has
So
to
shaking.
like, oh my god.
They're like
shaking in their boots.
mentally preparing before they come out. Those double doors. I swear it's in slow-mo every time they come out. I see like this old lady across the restaurant. She like puts her napkin, like she untucks it out of her shirt, and I'm like, oh fuck, she's going for it. I need to get there first. Like she's gonna take
SOS,
extra.
I'm saying.
And then there's those people who make eye contact with you and they're just like piling it up like, oh, you want it.
Right.
Oh, you want it. Crab
so
legs.
sorry.
Because I
Gonna have to wait for the next batch.
I paid a flat price for this and I'm going to take what I need to take. Okay, so, but then again, I am vegetarian, but I'm pescatarian. I'm going to say depends.
I'm also gonna say depends because like I like to go in sections. Got to go back for more, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. If someone mixes the serving implements up in the buffet, what's your reaction? Why? About these buffets?
It's a lot about food.
They have different spoons for different dishes. You notice, but get on with your life. You can't understand how someone could do this. You walk away from the buffet. You bend a fork in your fist and don't realize. Blind rage and smash plates.
Can you imagine? I would say mine's the first one. It says they have different spoons for different dishes, question mark?
Literally though, because I had no idea.
I'm
just going to say I notice and get on with my life.
Yeah, the hell?
Like, I don't really care.
I still don't understand like why they need like several forks, several spoons, several knives. Like just give me like I don't even use a fucking knife. I use the edge of my fork.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Get cracking.
When checking out a new house, how important is the basement? Like I already know. Okay, so very important, sort of important, not that important, I guess. I don't think I need one. I don't think I want to cause a hassle either way. I had a basement for 6 years, never knew.
What? It has to be nice. I can't. You saw my
Very
basement.
important because anything could have gone down there. I don't need no spooky business.
When checking out the basement. Okay, wait. Okay, wait. And when checking out a new house, how important is the basement? So are they saying like how important is it that you have a basement? Oh, I think that is what they're saying.
Oh, I see.
Because I think they're trying to see if we're a serial killer. So okay, so wait, hold on. Let me checking out a new
basements are
house,
cool.
how important is the basement? I mean, I would say it's pretty. I would love a basement. We're sitting in one right now.
Right.
Love it.
I
I
mean,
think it's good, especially if there's like extra storage space.
I mean, yeah, because it's like you're not looking for an apartment. I'm looking for a house, so I want the full experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's very important. But what if it's a beach house when you can't have a basement near water?
True.
This quiz, like we're like actually stressing
We're like,
this.
oh my god, this is real life. We have to figure this out
It's a
right
fucking
now.
BuzzFeed quiz. I'm gonna say very important.
I'll say sort of important. Actually, no, you're right. Very important is pretty real.
I don't want to say. I wish it wasn't very. I wish it was just important because it's more than
Right.
sort of important, but it's not super important. It's just important.
All right. I'm gonna say, it's very important. 'Cause
Okay.
Have you ever seen my basement? It's like fucking Narnia for spiders.
No, I've actually never been in your basement.
You don't want to.
'Cause
That's why
there's-
something's in front of the door.
Yeah, I was gonna say things are like in front of your door.
That's why.
Wait, oh my god, Narnia fucking basement. Sarah and me. I still to this day sometimes I think
Oh
about
my
this, and I
God.
don't know if it was a dream and I was just
It
really
wasn't.
fucked up or
It
something.
definitely wasn't.
But Sarah and I are at this house party. Don't know how we got there. Don't know whose house party it was. It's one of those memories that I don't know. Like I feel like it was a dream. Sarah and I are literally in the bathroom. We walk to the tiniest like. I'm pretty sure I was peeing in the shower. You were peeing in the toilet because that was like our tag team thing. So we wouldn't
Literally.
leave each other at the party. We're in the bathroom and we go to like this tiny door. It was like a linen closet. We open the door and there are stairs in a bathroom in a linen closet, like in the back of a linen closet. We go down there at a fucking crowded ass house party and it's just like empty and we're down there. We're probably down there for a little too long and people are like, what are those kids doing in the bathroom? But how fucking weird is that? It was like an entire basement that you could only get to through the door in
What the
the bathroom, like in the back of the linen closet.
It was weird.
It was so
That
weird.
is fucking weird.
I'm
I
so
don't
glad
think you
someone
were supposed to see
experienced.
that.
I don't think I was supposed to see that either. And it was creepy. It was unfinished. It was the ones that you have to duck down, but it was
And
the whole length of the
stairs
house.
were really steep.
It was terrifying, but it was literally the entire length of the house. It was massive. And it was so weird going from like a crazy, like shoulder to shoulder crowded ass frat boy party to like the sex dungeon, which was just like empty and you could just hear everybody above you. And it was just like empty and cold and it smelled fucking weird.
It was really weird. And it was dark.
I totally forgot about that. All right. So next question.
Here we are.
In a relationship, how smart does your other half have to be?
Like, what are these questions?
Almost as smart as me. Are they nice? Question mark. Depends on the personality. Are they hot?
Me.
The stupider, the better.
Me.
Is stupider a word?
Yeah.
Less smart than me. I would say depends on their personality.
Definitely depends on their personality. Like, what is smart? You
Yeah,
know, like
for
there's
real.
different levels of smart.
That was
Yeah,
really
like-
intellectual.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I had some learning disabilities in high school. You know,
Heard that.
like-
Got my IEP on.
I sure did too.
Pour one out for the IEP.
IEP group.
So I'm gonna
Raise a
say
glass.
it depends on the personality.
Same. All right. Why would you even take a quiz like this?
Damn.
I was Googling serial killers and this just popped up. Literally. Algorithms? I'm avoiding work. I was just checking. It's amazing I got this far. TBH. I was checking to see if I have Wikipedia page dedicated to my unsolved murders.
Has anyone clicked that? At BuzzFeed, let us know.
Let the cops know.
Yes, 911.
Well, literally, I'm just gonna pick whatever Sarah picked because she's the one who came up with it. What
I
did you?
said Google.
Okay, I'm gonna say Googling because it doesn't say my friend forced me to take this. So, holy shit, how many questions is
Right.
this?
Okay, we're on
This is
question
the last
11.
one.
All right, guys,
this is
we're
the last one.
We're
Here we
almost
are.
done.
No, there's 12.
Oh shit. Never
Okay.
mind. Okay. How would you describe your childhood? I survived it. That's all that counts. Fine. Let's move on.
Me.
A bit schooly. I ate a lot of crisps.
Fuck is that?
Apple crisps.
No,
like,
crisps like chips.
Oh,
Because
shit.
when they were spelling neighbor, they spelled it with a U. So I'm assuming this is somebody wrote this from Europe.
Yeah. I mean, apple crisps are cool too.
Apple crisps are cool too.
But
I was
yes,
eating
chips.
a lot of crisps.
I had to be polite to a lot of aunts, and happy.
Oh god. I'm gonna put
How was your
fun.
childhood?
Let's move on.
I'm gonna pick the same.
I'm going to say I ate a lot of crisps.
Love that. How much do you like science? Why do you want to hear my findings? I've been thinking about some experiments I want to do. Oh, baby, all the time. High school chemistry was great. I liked the bit when the Bunsen burners. Why do you like science? My science teacher was hot. Honestly, my science teacher was hot. He pulled me aside in class and asked me to stop adding him on Facebook.
Are you serious?
Stop.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Yeah. And I was like playing. I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. I accidentally clicked you. It's really so weird.
Casual.
What are you going to do when you're 15 and moist?
Right.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I had nothing to say. All right. So I picked that my science teacher was hot. What did you pick?
I wasn't that good at science. Didn't really like that subject that much, but well, I guess why do you... Oh, shit. What is that? Why do you like science?
Okay.
That's what I picked too.
All right.
All right, click it.
Results. Sarah, let's go in the circle.
You only want to kill people on public transport, but you're too polite to. Wow, look at that. I literally sit next to people that smell all the time, and I'm like, why do you smell like this?
You're so serious. Like your face is like dead ass.
I know, because I'm dead ass. Like, why do you smell like that? There's no excuse.
Okay.
I mean, there is, but I'm just...
Keiko, what'd you get?
So, strangely enough, I got... You have the mind of a serial killer, but you haven't done it yet.
What did you get?
I got the same exact thing. You have the mind of a serial
Wow,
killer,
I
but you
feel
haven't
left
done
out.
it yet. You have the mind of a serial killer, but you'd either be a freewheeling type who just does whatever they please, or a sociopath. Pick one. We can't figure you out. I already had a deep discussion about this with Sarah a couple years ago, so I'm just going to tuck that away. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Keiko, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Ooh, 25 episodes, and you're our first special guest.
Special guest. I'm so excited.
We're going to leave her information in the
Dropbox.
This isn't YouTube. in the show notes. If you guys liked it, please give us a rating on whatever you are listening to us on. Again, patreon.com/esoteric oddities. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that shit. We're going to link everything. You love us. We love us.
Guys.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great day.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.